British land up in an Anglo-Zanzibar war that lasted only 38 minutes? In 1698, Omani Arabs kick the Portuguese out of Zanzibar, the archipelago off the east coast of Africa. They turn Zanzibar into a clove-producing powerhouse. Its soil and climate are perfect for the crop, and the labour was literally free, thanks to Zanzibar being the largest slave-trading hub in the Indian Ocean. By the early 1800s, this little group of islands is pumping out 70 to 90% of the world's cloves. Zanzibar is such a profitable centre that its sultan at the time, Said bin Sultan, physically moves his court from Muscat in Oman to Zanzibar town, which makes it the capital of the Sultanate of Muscat and Oman. Zanzibar is thriving, but unbeknownst to them, 6,000 kilometres away in London, a group of gentlemen in frock coats come to the realisation that slavery is uncivilised and decide to make it their purpose to rid the world of it. They pack up and sail right off to the Grand Bazaar of the Indian Ocean slave trade, the Zanzibar archipelago, demand to meet the Sultan and force him to sign a series of treaties that prevent the sale of slaves to Christians and allow the British to search Omani dhows to ensure compliance. These treaties stay in effect until Sultan Said's death, which is immediately followed by 4 years of chaos as his 2 sons fight over rule of the empire. The eldest, based in Muscat, declares himself the supreme ruler. The younger son, not to be outdone, counters by staking his claim over Zanzibar. He refuses to send the substantial, customary annual tithe to Muscat, essentially bankrupting the much poorer Muscat region. This civil war, sometimes hot, sometimes cold, is a threat to British interests. Muscat controls the Strait of Hormuz, the only safe route for British ships sailing to India and the Gulf. A broke Muscat would leave it vulnerable to other powers or pirates. The British also know that enforcing the anti-slavery treaties requires a single, unopposed ruler. So once again, they step in. They construct a neat and tidy solution, for them, a permanent partition. The empire would be split into 2 independent states, the Sultanate of Zanzibar and the Sultanate of Muscat and Oman. Zanzibar would pay Muscat an annual subsidy in perpetuity, and both rulers would be recognised by the British. Both brothers are told to either accept the solution or see it enforced by British force of arms. Neither brother has a navy to fight the British, and so both reluctantly agreed. Classic British move: referee a family argument, then somehow land up with all parties beholden to the British Empire. From this point on, the British, in effect, control the succession of the Sultanate of Zanzibar, and in 1890, Zanzibar is officially declared a British protectorate. Because of this, no new sultan could even be proclaimed without British permission. In 1896, the current Sultan of Zanzibar dies. His cousin, with his own personal grievances against the British, seizes the palace and declares himself ruler, believing the British would negotiate rather than resorting to force over a succession dispute. He could not be more wrong. The British deliver an ultimatum: leave the palace by 9 a.m. or face bombardment. The upstart sultan refuses, barricading himself in the palace and waiting for the negotiations he is sure are soon to follow. At 9:02 a.m., cannons on British cruisers off the coast of the archipelago open fire on the palace. By 9:40 a.m., the palace was in flames, hundreds of defenders wounded or dead, and the upstart sultan in the wind, having fled the bombardment. The British waste no time, installing their favoured candidate as sultan the very same afternoon. The displaced, failed sultan legs it to the German consulate, which smuggles him out to Dar es Salaam, where he lives in exile until 1927, long enough to see the British still very much in charge. And that's how the British landed up in the shortest war with Zanzibar.